All right, we're going to look at 14.1. This is creating equations. So basically what we want to do is we want to be able to go from mathematical sentence to an English sentence and vice versa. We want to be able to look at a story problem and really understand what's being asked and be able to write an equation to go along with that and then solve it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some terms that we need to know. So we have sum, difference, product, and quotient. Now these are all words that you've probably heard before, but we just need to make sure that we remember what this means. So a sum, that is really just the answer to an addition problem. So I'm going to say here that this is the solution to addition. So if I see somewhere written that I would like to find the sum of 3 and 7, that just means I'm going to be adding 3 and 7 together to get the result of 10. Okay, so some other words that could be used to describe sum would be plus, maybe like more than. I'll see if I can think of any other of those. Difference, that is a subtraction problem. So the difference is the solution to a subtraction problem. So if I'm looking at the difference of 10 and 4, that means I'm going to be subtracting 4 from 10. So usually if I have a difference, the difference between 10 and 4, the word that comes first, 10, is going to be the first one. We're going to be subtracting off the second one. Some other words for difference might be minus or less than. The product, that is going to be the solution to a multiplication problem. Solution to multiplication. Alright, so let's actually write a multiplication symbol. This may also be times. Sometimes the word of, like if I wanted to know what 1/2 of 10 was, that would be multiply 1/2 times 10. Quotient, this is going to be the solution to a division problem. So we might hear the word divide. And so those are just some different words that you're going to hear, and just trying to make sure that we reviewed that and remember what all those words mean. All right, so let's go ahead and try some of these. So if I'm given the numerical expression, the sum of 5 and 7, I've got to look for the key words in here that are going to help me. So sum, we know we learned previously, right? That is the answer to an addition problem. So I know I'm going to be adding something. Okay, so the sum of 5 and 7, those are the two things I'm going to be adding. So this is just 7 plus 5. So now I've written this in sentence in words, I've written it in math, 7 plus 5. The quotient, remember quotient, that is the division problem. So the quotient of 27 and 3. That means I'm going to be taking 27 and I'm going to be dividing it by 3. I'm writing it as a quotient. I could have also written 27 divided by 3. This first number, that's going on the top, or that is the one that's going to be divided by the second number, which goes on the bottom. Okay, let's see if we can do some of those going the other direction. So if we're given the sentence in math and we need to write it as in words. Okay, so here I'm looking at a subtraction symbol here, and remember that subtraction, that is going to be a difference. Okay, but then I also have here a division, so that is going to be a quotient. So I have two things going on. I have a difference and I have a quotient. So since this difference is the main thing we're doing here, I'm going to start with difference. So this would be the difference of, now remember the first thing in the difference comes first, so I'm going to say of 5 Okay, so the difference of 5 and something else. The something else is not just a number, it is a quotient. So I'm actually going to write this, the difference of 5 and the quotient of, what two numbers are in our quotient. Remember, the top one comes first, so I would say of x and some 6. So in that one, we both have a difference and a quotient. I do the difference first because that's the main problem that's going on here, is it's a subtraction problem. I'm subtracting off the quotient of x and 76 from 5. On this one, I have a sum. And the second part is just a little bit tricky because I do have a fraction here. So I could call this a quotient of 1 and 3, but I also have it multiplied by x. So I'm actually going to say that this is either, the second part is either 1/3 of x, or I could say it is the, since when I multiply 1/3 times x, I could also write that as x over 3. I could also write this as the quotient of x and 3. So I could say the sum of 4 and 1/3 of x, or I could also say this is the sum of 4 and the quotient of x over 3, which is what I actually am going to do. So I'm going to write the sum of 4, and the other thing that it's summing with is the second part, which is the quotient. So I'm going to say the sum of 4 and the quotient of x and 3. Okay, so we're just kind of going back and forth, making sure we understand how to go back and forth between a math sentence and a sentence in words or in English. All right, let's try a story problem. A car salesman earns a $30,000 salary plus, so there's a keyword, plus, that means we're going to be adding on, right? So let's see, where are you? Okay, so plus, that means I'm going to be adding something to this $30,000 salary. So we're going to be adding a commission of $600 for every car he sells. So we don't know how many cars he's going to sell yet. So we're going to call the number of cars he's going to sell, since we don't know it. It's an unknown. We're going to call it C. He wants to earn $80,000. So that's the total that he wants to earn, is $80,000. How many cars would he need to sell? So we're trying to find out how many cars. So we know his base salary is $30,000. So we're going to write down here the base salary, and then we're going to add on his commission. He's going to get $600, but he's not just going to get $600 once, he's going to get $600 for every car he sells. So I'm going to multiply that by C. If I take the number of cars he gets and multiply it by 600, that's going to tell me how much he's going to earn from selling the cars, from the commission. And then he wants to earn at least $80,000. So we're going to set this equal to $80,000, because if I can set this equal to $80,000 and then solve for C, I will know how many cars he's going to have to sell in order to get that amount of money. So my equation, even though I just made it look really sloppy, is 30,000 plus 600C equals 80,000. Okay, so down here we want to solve this equation. We were just trying to find what C is. That means we've got to get C all by itself on one side of the equation. So the first thing we need to do to get C by itself is we need to get rid of this $30,000. So we're going to subtract $30,000 from both sides. So I'll be left with 600C equals $50,000. Now I need to get rid of 600 times C. The inverse operation of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 600, so that 600 over 600 goes to 1, and I'm just left with C on this side. So this will tell me how many cars I need to sell, or the salesman will need to sell. We're going to take 50,000 and we're going to divide it by 600. Let me pull up the calculator here. So 50,000 divided by 600 is going to equal, let's move my calculator a little, 83.33. Now I know that he cannot sell 0.33 cars, right? He either needs to sell 83 cars or 84 cars. If he wants at least $80,000, We're going to have to round that up. He's going to have to sell 84 cars. All right. Thanks, guys. Let's see if I can turn that off.